The countdown just hit zero, and what comes next might be the most unexpected twist in the long-running story of the Iraqi dinar. So before we dive into this unfolding situation, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications right now, because the information you're about to hear is shaping conversations across investment circles, forex communities, and global financial analysis groups in a way we haven't seen in years, and staying updated is the only way to truly understand how massive currency shifts can influence ordinary people, traders, and entire economies. For years, people have been tracking every tiny movement in the Iraqi dinar, every government announcement, every budget revision, and every expert prediction, and now the air is buzzing with anticipation as discussions about a live rate update and potential revaluation continue to build momentum across global commentary channels, financial talk shows, and economic forums. What's fueling the excitement today isn't a promise of guaranteed outcomes, but the sheer volume of signals coming from international analysts who are closely watching Iraq's financial restructuring, the strengthening of internal revenue systems, and the continuous push toward removing currency distortions that have existed for more than a decade. When observers talk about the countdown hitting zero, what they mean is that many of the long-anticipated economic reforms have finally converged into a moment where the world wants answers, and although no one can declare a confirmed live rate until it is officially released by the proper institutions, the discussion surrounding the possibility of significant change is louder than ever. Investors and ordinary viewers alike are asking what could happen if Iraq's currency continues to move toward greater stability, transparency, and integration with global markets. And while it's essential to remember that currencies fluctuate based on real-world policy decisions, market confidence, and geopolitical conditions, the pattern of updates emerging from Iraq recently has made this topic impossible to ignore. We've seen increasing talks about digital infrastructure upgrades, cross-border payment improvements, and the government's attempts to curb illegal currency channels, all of which shape how the exchange rate behaves. Even global analysts who typically remain conservative in their commentary have begun acknowledging that Iraq's ongoing structural adjustments could lead to shifts in market perception, and when perception changes, trading behavior follows. This is why people are glued to screens today, because they don't want to miss the moment when official data reveals the next stage of Iraq's monetary direction. As we move deeper into this discussion, keep in mind that this video is not about hype or unrealistic promises. It's about breaking down the signals, the trends, and the economic logic that experts use to analyze potential currency transformations. If the dinar strengthens, it will be because Iraq has increased economic output, built fiscal discipline, reduced dependency on single-sector revenue, and aligned itself more closely with international monetary standards. And if the rate remains stable, that too will reflect real economic intent, often tied to long-term planning rather than immediate reaction. So as we go through today's breakdown, keep your focus sharp, stay engaged, and don't forget to comment your thoughts below, because your voice adds to a global conversation that's becoming more important with each passing update. Right now, as news commentators dissect every new signal from Iraq's financial sector, the world is watching the behavior of the dinar with more intensity than ever before. And what's particularly interesting is how global markets are reacting to the mere possibility of a rate update or revaluation scenario even before any official confirmation has been released. This tells us that sentiment, how traders feel, how investors react, and how the public interprets economic indicators, plays a massive role in shaping real-time forex movements. For example, when analysts notice changes in government budgeting strategies, or oil revenue projections becoming more diversified, or discussions about international trade agreements resurfacing, they begin modeling different scenarios for how the dinar might behave in the future. None of this means a sudden rate shift is guaranteed. Instead, it shows that the data is being watched closely enough that many people feel we're approaching a meaningful stage in Iraq's financial evolution. The idea of a countdown hitting zero symbolizes the completion of many economic milestones, tightening regulatory systems, combating currency smuggling, improving the electronic banking network, and launching initiatives to stabilize inflation, and these reforms collectively create a foundation that can influence market confidence. And confidence is everything in currency valuation. When the global community sees a nation introducing stricter oversight, encouraging foreign investment, and strengthening institutional transparency, market behavior gradually adapts. That's why forex traders appear especially alert today. They understand that even small structural improvements can lead to major long-term outcomes. Meanwhile, discussions about a potential revaluation keep surfacing across forums, YouTube channels, investment podcasts, and economic think tank reports, not because anyone can predict a specific rate, but because people recognize the enormous difference even moderate currency adjustments can make for international trade, purchasing power, and national financial planning. Beyond the speculation, what truly matters is the actual economic direction Iraq is moving in, and that includes expanding its non-oil export capacities, negotiating more balanced trade relationships, and using digital modernization to reduce currency leakage and unofficial markets. These are the kinds of developments that create real value, and value is ultimately what determines whether a currency strengthens or remains stable. It's also important to mention that global economic conditions, including the shifting strength of the US dollar, inflation trends in major economies, and geopolitical realignments across the Middle East, all contribute to the pressure surrounding today's intense interest in the IQD. With financial analysts describing 2025 as a defining year for currency repositioning, viewers want clarity, updates, and grounded analysis rather than exaggerated claims, and that's exactly why this conversation matters. As you continue watching, stay focused on the logic behind the trends rather than the hype, because understanding the reasons behind currency movements is what gives you real insight into what may unfold next. As we move into the final stretch of today's breakdown, it's important to understand why the global conversation around the Iraqi dinar feels so different this time and why the phrase, "the countdown just hit zero," has become symbolic of a moment where economic observations, public expectations, and market signals seem to converge. What's happening right now is not simply speculation, it's the result of years of observing Iraq's attempts to strengthen monetary policy, diversify its revenue streams, and increase its participation in international financial systems. Whenever a country works toward reforming its economic foundations, markets eventually react, not instantly, not unpredictably, but gradually and logically based on measurable progress. And that is exactly what analysts are watching today, the bigger picture. Iraq has spent significant effort enhancing banking transparency, modernizing digital transactions, reducing unofficial exchange channels, and aligning itself with international compliance standards. When combined with the country's ongoing attempts to stabilize inflation and introduce new investment frameworks, these changes start shaping how external financial observers interpret Iraq's long-term trajectory. An interpretation leads to market sentiment, which leads to speculation, which leads to intensified attention, bringing us to the moment you and millions of others are witnessing across media platforms. The idea of a live rate update sparks massive curiosity, but the reality is that any official rate adjustment must come from the proper financial authorities following structured policy decisions and economic evaluation. Until that happens, what we can analyze is the pattern of developments, the strengthening indicators, and the global reactions forming around them. While no one can claim certainty about if or when a revaluation might occur, what makes this moment fascinating is how closely aligned the world has become in tracking Iraq's economic progress. Viewers want to understand how global currency shifts could affect their financial choices, how forex markets respond to new international partnerships, and how economic reforms within one nation can influence regional and global trends. The dinar story is unique because it carries both historical complexity and future potential, and that combination keeps people engaged. As we close this script, remember that knowledge is your strongest tool in navigating discussions like these, and staying informed allows you to separate realistic analysis from speculation. If you want to keep receiving clear, engaging breakdowns about the IQD, global currencies, forex updates, and economic changes shaping 2025, make sure you smash that like button right now, subscribe to the channel, and comment below with your thoughts on where you think Iraq's financial path is heading, because your engagement helps us bring you even deeper insights in the videos ahead.